Welcome, dear friends. Today, I want to share with you a powerful and uplifting message that comes from the heavens above. A message from angels filled with hope, love, and divine encouragement to remind you of God's presence in your life, especially during challenging times. Throughout history, God has used angels as his messengers. They've delivered important messages, protected his people, and been a constant source of comfort and encouragement. They serve as reminders that God's love is always with us, even when we can't see it or feel it. Did you know that angels are all around us? In Hebrews 1:14, the Bible tells us, "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" This verse reminds us of the great love and care God has for his people. The angels serve us, working on God's behalf, bringing us hope, protection, and encouragement in our times of need. Angels have been involved in God's plan from the very beginning of time. In the Garden of Eden, God placed cherubim to guard the way to the tree of life. They were there, not as a punishment, but as part of God's divine protection. Later, when Abraham was called to sacrifice Isaac, it was an angel who intervened at the last moment, stopping him from going through with it. Angels are not just figures in ancient history, they are present today. And in the New Testament, we see them ministering to Jesus after his temptation in the wilderness, and in the Garden of Gethsemane, they strengthen him in his final hours. These messengers of God are present in our lives today. The angels may not always appear in the way we imagine, but their influence and support are felt in so many ways. In times of peace, in times of distress, and even when we feel lost or afraid, God sends his angels to guard and guide us. Perhaps today you're facing a challenge, whether it's a personal struggle, a health issue, or a financial difficulty. You might feel like you're carrying a heavy burden, or perhaps you feel alone in your circumstances. But the message the angels want to share with you today is one of hope. You see, God knows exactly what you are going through, and while you may not see angels physically standing beside you, know this: they are there. Psalm 91:11 says, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." God is commanding his angels to watch over you right now, even in the middle of your struggles. They are actively working on your behalf, protecting you, helping to guide your decisions, and leading you back to peace. I encourage you to take a moment today to pause and reflect on this truth. When the weight of the world feels too much to bear, God is sending his angels to lift you up. You are not alone. You never have been. I remember a time in my life when I was struggling with fear. I was uncertain about my future and overwhelmed by my circumstances. One night, as I sat in my room, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over me, despite the chaos I was experiencing outside. I didn't understand it at the time, but looking back, I know that God sent his angels to surround me in that moment. It wasn't a loud, dramatic experience. It was a quiet, subtle reminder that I was under divine protection. That night, I could feel the presence of God's peace, his angels, guarding me, even in my fear. Perhaps you've had a similar experience where, despite your worries, you felt an inexplicable peace, a calm, or even a sense of protection. Those are the moments when God is near, when he's sending his angels to reassure you. Prayer is another way we open ourselves up to the protection and guidance of God's angels. In Matthew 18:10, Jesus says, "See that you do not despise one of these little ones. For I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven." Jesus speaks here of the angels of children, but the truth applies to all of us. When we pray, when we call on God, his angels are there. They are watching, listening, and ready to assist in the unfolding of God's will in our lives. I want to encourage you today, if you're feeling uncertain, overwhelmed, or alone, take a moment to pray. Invite God's angels into your life. Ask for divine guidance, protection, and strength. The Bible promises that God hears our prayers, and his angels are ready to assist. As we trust in God's protection, we must also trust in his timing. There may be times when we feel impatient or frustrated, when things don't seem to be moving fast enough or going as we hoped. But the angels remind us that God's plan is perfect. Angels are messengers of God's wisdom. They carry his perfect plans for our lives. And although we may not always understand the delays or detours, we can trust that God is working through every circumstance. Psalm 27:14 encourages us to wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Sometimes the best thing we can do is wait in faith, knowing that God's angels are working behind the scenes to prepare the way. As you continue on your journey, know that you are never walking alone. God's angels are with you, walking beside you every step of the way. They are guiding you, protecting you, and lifting you up when you're feeling weak. Take heart in this, my friend. You are a beloved child of God, and His angels are always near. You are never forgotten, and your life has a purpose that is deeply loved and cherished by the Creator of the universe.